Hello, everybody. Hey, it's John, owner of the Simplest Biz. Um, get this out of the way. Thumbs up if you like the video. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Simplest Biz. If you need more information, thesimplestbiz4u.com. If you're at a point where you want to make an appointment, there's going to be a link in the description below, and I'll have that as well if you've gone through some materials and you're ready to have, ask some questions and all. That out of the way. Today, I want to talk about how this all got started. The simplest biz for me back in 1998. I try to make this relative to what your life's about, but I get this question a lot about how did you get started doing this, and how did it all come about, and how did it grow into what it's become over the years. So I wanted to go over that with you guys, and some of you might have heard this because I've talked about it on some of my podcasts that I've been on as well, but I thought it important for the ones of you that haven't to kind of go through how this all became back 22 years ago. So I used to do, before I was doing the Simplest Biz, which is a pallet business and all that I do here locally, and very streamlined method for some of you who hadn't seen too many videos. I was doing remodeling, and we were remodeling kitchens and bathrooms and vinyl siding and this, that, and the other. And it was a decent business. And, I was relying on a lot of referrals. I had a partner back then. His name was Dane. And we were getting pretty good business. But, even with the remodeling, you don't have recurring business. So that was always frustrating. And you had to rely on referrals a lot. And the web wasn't crazy back in 1998 as far as those marketing strategies go. So, and you didn't have the ability to have that, like I said a minute ago, recurring revenue that I always wanted. And I wanted something more simple. There's 1,000 things that can go wrong in remodeling when you're doing a problem, and you have problem customers, and the amount of time it gets to when you talk to somebody and the actual project starts. So it was always juggling, as far as that goes. So it was December back in 1998, and we had a bathroom remodel, Dane and I. Cold, I remember it being very, very, pretty darn cold, in the 30s, high 20s or something. Regardless, we went to the job. I believe it was at the beginning of the week. It was the job we were going to be doing all week long. Well, we get to the door, and there's a note on the door. They had to go out of town. That people had to go out of town. And that was the only thing we had lined up for that week. So now it's the middle of winter. It's not crazy busy in the middle of winter anyway. And we get back in the truck and kind of look at each other and go, well, what do you want to do? Well, Dane apparently at some point, had been dabbling in knowing about pallets, because he said, well, let's go pick up some pallets. And I go, what's a pallet? And he goes, those wooden things that warehouses use and move stuff around and all. And go, and do what? He said, well, I'll show you. So literally, it wasn't far, half a mile, 8 blocks or whatever from where we were. There was a little industrialized area, and we pulled in. And the first place we pulled into, we looked over, and there's stacks and stacks and stacks. It was like 1,500 wooden pallets in their location. Okay, so all right, look at all that stuff. Dane, what are we gonna do? Well, back then we didn't know, one, where to go and what their pain points were and their sweet spots were, and that we could get help, and with all this stuff from the business and all the different strategies that came later on. But still, it's 1,500 pallets. And we stumbled through the process of talking to the people about it and all, and talked to the wrong person, and talked to somebody else, and it was kind of a fiasco. But regardless, we ended up, they said, you can have them. So that right off blew my mind, that they're giving me this product that they think they're ready to discard. Now, understand, back then, I'm no better than a scavenger is today. I didn't have any customers. I wouldn't know where the customer, didn't know where the customers were at that point or what their problems were, all that back then as well. So the only option we had was a forklift driver. I mean, excuse me, a pallet yard. Excuse me. Didn't have a forklift driver on that point that we knew to even help us in that situation. So I have a pickup truck. Is all I have back in 1998. It's a Ford F-150, and we were hand loading these pallets and driving them quite a few miles. I think it was about 5 miles to a pallet yard. And that was a husband and wife team that had the pallet yard. Her name was Joni, and I've forgotten their husband's name. And we were just bringing load after load after load. And we spent all day clearing out those pallets and whittling it down just about nothing. And did we make some money? Yeah, we did. Did I feel like I was about to fall over because I was having to lift them? Now, understand, you don't lift them in the strategies we use now, and I haven't lifted pallets in close to a year, unless it's one moving it to the side or something. But anyway, we pulled in, several $1,000s on those pallets, even though the pallet yard's paying $1, $1.50, $1.75. Leaving 3 times the money on the table, 4 times the money on the table, doing it that way, and plus. Even at that age, 22 years ago, it kicked my butt to be lifting all those pallets and doing load after load after load in that little pickup truck. Regardless, I was blown away by the fact that we were given this product, for free. In fact, we probably could have gotten paid to take it away if we knew any better back in the day. So, day 2, we come across the place, 2,500 pallets, okay? And we're like, and my body's killing me from the day before because, we were hand lifting this stuff by like ignorant folks because we didn't know any better. We do it again, and made a lot of money that I mean, we didn't get all of those. In fact, it took us some time because there were some variations in sizes and stuff, but we got a ton of them out of there and given for free again. And in my whole life, I'd never seen a business model where I get my product for free and I didn't have to store it. And in fact, let me backtrack a minute. On the 3rd and 4th day, we had a little area for equipment and stuff for the remodeling business. And we thought it'd be, it's just smart. We'll set up we'll stockpile some. Well, after a day of stockpiling, another mistake we made. You put them on your truck by, ignorantly, not using the forklift drivers and all those strategies, but we're putting them on a truck, take them to the storage area, stockpiling there, and we don't because we haven't customers yet. And then if we did get an order, we'd have to put them back on the truck and take them to the buyer. Unfortunately, a buyer would they would unload them. But at that point, we didn't have any buyers, and Dave didn't really know who buyers were as well, because the only way he touched this model is through just selling to the pallet yard. Well, I noticed, like, on the 2nd or 3rd day of going to that pallet yard, wait, where are the pallets we brought yesterday? Well, they had delivered them to a customer. Perfectly good product, nothing wrong with them, didn't have to repair them or nothing like that. And they took them from us, gave us a little money for it, and went and sold them to their customers. And I'm going, why don't we need to find customers? Who are the customers, right? Who needs this stuff? Where does it go? And what? And the pallet yards are only buying one, couple different styles, pretty much just one, a standard 4840 pallet, which kind of limited us as well. It's extremely limited us. And I had seen all these other styles of pallets out there on top of it, and I'm going, okay, where does all this stuff go? And I'm getting excited about it, and I'm going to figure it out, right? Me and Dana are going to figure it out. Well, the day we decided to go after customers. We meet at the truck. Dane doesn't show up. Where the heck is he? He had been infatuated. All he did when we were doing these pallets and stuff and doing jobs, he talked about this girl. And he was infatuated with this girl. And come to find out, and I never saw Dane again. I did speak to him once on the phone. I finally got a hold of him. He ran off with that girl and left me holding the bag, trying to figure this out. And he's the one who introduced me to this. You know, the simplified, super simplified, you know, not as efficient way of doing it. But still, if it wasn't for him, I would have never seen this stuff. And I never saw him again after that, except for that one phone call to find out he ran off with that girl. So now I'm in a position of, I never had approached a customer about this particular product. I didn't know who they were. I didn't know what their problems were. I didn't know how to become exclusive for the supply. I didn't know how to move all that other stuff that I was seeing as well, those other styles of pallets and all that kind of stuff. And I was dead set determined to figure it out. And that's what I did. Over the next couple years, through trial and error and going down wrong rabbit holes and getting really narrowed in my products lines and you know, not solving the suppliers' problems correctly and not knowing where their pain points were, I still did it, right? It was actually, you know, the way I was doing it back then, it was stressful because I didn't know all the ins and outs. And I just kept at it and kept at it and kept at it and asking more questions and figuring out this and figuring out that. And then the downturn came in 2009 and I'm going, okay, I've been dealing with pallets and pallets and pallets and pallets and pallets. What about this all the stuff I've been seeing? 55-gallon drums, crates, dunnage, corrugated boxes, industrial bags, totes, Gaylord boxes, on and on and on it goes. And I wanted to diversify at that point because it didn't affect the pallet business hugely because everything's always still moving, right, as far as commerce goes. But there were a few companies that I dealt with that took a hit. And I had to diversify it all. Regardless, so after Dane left, I'll backtrack again, I had to find the people, the suppliers and the buyers. Even if I couldn't even become exclusive for the supply, even if I had to piecemeal it all together, I knew I didn't have to have an employee. I knew I didn't have to have a warehouse. I knew I had to become exclusive for the supply eventually. And I knew I could not have to have all the headaches of a normal business. You know, the equipment's minimal. It's like, what, 3 straps and some cranks and an invoice book and a hammer in case a board's popped up and I want to knock it down real quick. And then I had to figure out all the problems with all the bad stuff and how to monetize that. You know, the broken pallets and all that. Where I didn't have to fix them and I didn't have to have an area where I was repairing stuff. And so I wanted to streamline it completely. And over the years and dealing with the businesses that I dealt with and expanding my business and expanding my offerings started to come together. So now for the last over a decade, I still have some of the same customers from that first week I went out and got them, by the way. You know, I got 12 suppliers and 6 buyers that first week. And I have more than the majority of them still this day with thousands of orders. But I wanted to know how to just keep on expanding it and make this a super simple, easy, knock it out, get done in the morning and enjoy my rest of my day, but not have to feel like I've cheated myself or anything because of the amount of money I was making based on what I'd set up. And that's what I wanted to deliver to you folks, a shortcut of knowing how to actually help these businesses. In the beginning, I wasn't really helping them. I was just scrambling. But through doing this for this many years and through the early years of doing it, I figured it out. I figured out all their pain points. I figured out all the problems that they have as far as suppliers and buyers and with all the other products. And, you know, getting to a point where these warehouse managers were saying stuff like, where have you been? Because I was doing things different than the other guys. I noticed what my competition was. Competition's pretty darn sad. But still, I had to up my game. I had to figure it out the right way and serve these companies the way they need to be served. Then I became exclusive for the supply. Then I became exclusive for that buyer. And then I had more and more offerings for that buyer. So for every account, I was getting multiple revenue streams on a reoccurring basis. And this whole point of me telling you all this is I want to put you in that position as well, where you can go out and you can do this and you can duplicate it without doing all the crazy stuff I went through and painting myself in corners that I did way back in the day. Because this certainly can be done wrong, where you're leaving tons of money on the table and you're not serving the customer right, and you could be dropped by them and stuff because you're not going about it the right way. We're struggling for supply even, where in fact there's an abundance of this out there to work with. My job is to teach you step by step by step by step on how to do it. I did want to cover how this all started with me. My struggles in the beginning, and the length of time I've been at this, and what I know because of sticking with it that long. I had no reason not to ever do a remodeling job again in my life, and I didn't. Never went back. I had freedom since that point, and provided my family security, great bank as far as the amount of money and the amount of time it takes me to do it in a few hours in the morning, sustainable income. And it allowed me to free up my life to where I can do things like, as you see in the background, I have a little art section in this room and some stuff over here for recording as well. And it allows me to pick and choose some of the things that I love to do because of the time freedom and the money freedom. So what are some of the things that you want to do as far as time freedom and money freedom and family freedom and not having to travel all the time and being swallowed up by your job? What are those things? We go into business for ourselves because we want to zig where the other guy zags. We go in business so we can dictate how we live our lives and not have someone else tell us how. And we can put our own spin on it, whatever we do. Even with this business, you can put your stamp on it. I'm going to teach you how to do it and all, but then you can stamp it with your personality and your tactics and things that you learn and your personality type and make it yours. I have this business being done in a multitude of different ways by my students. So this is the Simplest Biz, and it is a business model that is streamlined that you can do from where you live. In fact, you could do it statewide. There's all different ways where you can even expand it to nationwide if you wanted to. There's passive income models built within there. So there's a lot of different revenue streams and a lot of different ways where revenue streams come into play, different variations of working this model that solve the problems for the suppliers and the buyers. And I want to teach you every one of them. Every tactic, everything I know, every aspect of this business from day one. Again, the Simplest Biz for you, FOR, the letter U.com to opt in for more information. If you've been watching some of these videos, copy the link for an appointment because we want to talk to you, and hopefully you want to talk to us and ask your questions, and then we'll go from there, okay? Again, those appointments aren't a sales call or anything like that. It's just information that we give to you. You don't have to act on the call. It's nothing, no pressure tactics or anything like that. It's us make sure and you understand what the business model is, that you're fit. Hell, I might talk you out of it, depending on what your personality type is and all that. But the vast majority of individuals out there can do this. This is a duplicatable to the max model for you to go after. Now, I've been rambling on for a while, but I want to give y'all a good idea of who I am and what I've been through with this model and what I'm delivering. So hopefully this has helped. And if you identify it, keep on going through the YouTube videos on the YouTube channel, The Simplest Biz, or check your email if you've opted in. If you don't see those emails, check your spam or promotional folders if you're in Gmail, and see if you see them in there. Okay, let's talk soon. Keep on doing your due diligence. If you think it's for you, keep on investigating and finally reach out to us and we'll have a talk. And if it's not, I get it. It's no big deal. It's not for everybody. This is not sexy, but the lifestyle is. The fun of it is. I have a blast still. I still get along the way to work, and I want you guys to do the same. All right, we'll talk in the next one, and glad you spent some time with me, even though I rambled on and on and on and on. Take care.